Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmadoo.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're discussing strategy with the KC Cup right now. I know that Stage 2 is starting on Friday, November 17th, so a lot of you guys are trying to get some ideas as to how to get through Stage 1 and into Stage 2. So I wanted to run through a deck list that's got me all the way up to level 19 at this point. Haven't really been pushing too hard to get to level 20, but I think I may make that final push, and with enough consistency, this one can get you to that Stage 2 if you're really trying to make it that far. This is a variation of the Ancient Gear deck, because I used one last season to get to King of Games, but I needed to make a few tweaks just because of the play style. Now, the one thing that I've noticed with the decks that I'm seeing in the KC Cup is a huge influx of Mind Scan decks, Pegasus Mind Scan decks. So the element of surprise is really taken away. You know exactly what's going on in the back row, and plus you're seeing a lot of mirror matches with Ancient Gears, virtually taking out your back row during the battle phase. So that's why I wanted to do something a little bit different. In my old deck build for King of Games last season, I did not even run a single copy of Ancient Gear Soldier. It was all about Ancient Gear Knight. I was all over that monster, and this year, this season, I had to make a little bit of a switch. So now what I'm doing is cutting my Ancient Gear Knight down to just 2 copies, and then running 3 copies of Ancient Gear Soldier. It's a level 4 machine with 1300 attack, 1300 defense. During the battle phase, you can't activate any spell or trap cards on your opponent's side of the field there. So basically what I like to do is, because I'm starting with the skill middle-aged mechs, I end up having Ancient Gear Castle on the field to start. So that gives Ancient Gear Soldier a 1600 attack right off the bat there. So what I end up doing now in this deck is running 3 copies of Gravity Blaster. This is an equipped spell card where you equip only to a machine type monster. Once per turn, you can activate the effect that increases that monster's attack by 400. And the nice thing is that the attack remains even if this card leaves the field or the monster becomes unaffected by card effects. If it battles an opponent's monster, that monster's effect is negated during the battle phase only. So that's the other nice thing, is that this spell negates monster effects, and that's really helpful. So basically what this does on a first turn is it can turn your Ancient Gear Soldier into virtually a carbon copy of Ancient Gear Beast, because you negate the spells and traps during the battle step, but then you also negate monster effects through the use of Gravity Blaster. So my goodness, this pairs out extremely nice just with this whole setup. And because your opponents, I'm finding a pretty good percentage. Probably it seems like it seems like 1 in every 5 or 2 in every 5 duels turns out to be a Mind Scan deck in one way or another. There's no element of surprise to my deck. I'm just running that triple Gravity Blaster, and then of course I'm running the triple Enemy Controller. I don't really care if my opponent knows that I have Enemy Controller or not, because they could pretty much imply, based on the type of deck that I'm running, that there is triple Enemy Controller. It's no surprise to anybody. So that's really the only thing that I set, either that or I do run the 1 copy of Rare Metal Morph. And the only other spell card that I have in here is that 2nd copy, or that 1 copy of Ancient Gear Castle, so at least it would give me up to 2 copies on the field because of the skill Ancient Gear Mechs. Now, as for the other monsters, like I said, I do run the 2 copies of Ancient Gear Knight. I do run the standard 3 copies of Ancient Gear Beast, 3 copies of Ancient Gear Soldier, only 2 copies of Sergeant Electro. That's one that I've kind of been toying with 2 or 3. 2 seems to be working just fine in this deck. I do tech in the 1 copy of DD Warrior just for the mirror match, so in case my opponent gets out their Ancient Gear Golem, I can DD Warrior that monster away, hopefully, and have enough life points to spare. And then I run the 1 copy of Ancient Gear Golem. I have 2 in my possession, but I'm only using the 1 copy in this deck. But overall, the real simple strategy of it is a very aggressive strategy. Is just get your Ancient Gear Soldier out on the field with the Gravity Blaster, or even better, if you could get Ancient Gear Beast out onto the field as quickly as you can. You could even pair that up with Gravity Blaster, and hopefully over the next few turns boost the attack. So even in the mirror match, if your opponent does send out an Ancient Gear Golem, your Ancient Gear Beast's attack by that point should be higher than that Ancient Gear Golem, and really deter your opponent. There's been so many cases where I've been just boosting the attack so much because my opponent just has no answer, and every turn that passes, the monster just gets stronger. And sometimes I'm able to pair 2 Gravity Blasters with the one Ancient Gear Soldier or the one Ancient Gear Beast, and things can get real out of hand real fast unless they have some kind of solution to destroy my monster, maybe Gladiator Beast or something along those lines. It's kind of a mishmash, kind of a 50-50 toss-up in a lot of those duels, depending on if they're able to get the combos off, or depending on if I have an enemy controller in my hand or not. And that's the other big thing. That's why you do want to run the 3 copies of Econ. That's pretty much a staple right now in just about every deck. But basically, this is what I've been using to get up to level 19, basically in the KC Cup Stage 1. And it's not like I've been spending a whole lot of time doing ranked duels in there. I'm sure somebody who ran a similar deck build to this, who put in a lot more time than I have, would probably make it up to the maximum level for the Stage 1 pretty quick. I didn't want to burn myself out because I know I've already got the invite to Stage 2. Hopefully I could grind it out today or tomorrow. Try and get those 200 gems for hitting level 20. If not, hey, that's the breaks. But yeah, I've been getting a little tilted lately, so I may just need to cool off on that regard. But other than that, yeah, this is a pretty straightforward deck. A lot of those pieces you should have if you farmed, Dr. Crowler. So definitely give this deck a shot, and hopefully this helps you get past Stage 1 and get into Stage 2. So if there's anything that you want to add, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk, and I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.